What's up, wrestling fans? My name is Aaron, and this is Wrestling by Wardridge. So before I get started, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone who has subscribed so far, to everyone who has commented on my videos, to everyone who has viewed my videos. It's very much appreciated. Thank you. If you're new here, welcome to the channel, where in today's video I'll be discussing my top 5 wrestling matches of the week. And it was a pretty great week, to be honest. We kicked things off with Impact Sacrifice pay-per-view, where we saw Rich Swann unify the TNA and Impact heavyweight titles by defeating Moose, which means Rich Swann will go on to face Kenny Omega at Impact's Rebellion pay-per-view. We also saw New Japan's Finn Juice defeat the Good Brothers for the Impact Tag Team titles, and everything is just coming up David Finlay, because he's progressed to the semi-finals of the New Japan Cup by shockingly defeating Jay White in the 3rd round. We also saw the riveting second chapter of Braun Strowman vs Shane McMahon, as we saw Shane cover Braun with some green slime. Did you say green slime? I love it! Ha ha ha! It turns out that AEW Dark Elevation is pretty much the same show as AEW Dark. On AEW Dynamite, we saw MJF cut an incredible promo where he introduces his new faction as the Pinnacle, and the presentation of the group gave me serious Evolution vibes personally. Tony Schiavone held another interview with Sting and Darby Allin, where, yep, you guessed it, they got interrupted by Jake the Snake Roberts and Lance Archer. So, yeah, we didn't get any Team Taz. Oh no, yep, wait, here's Team Taz to cut a promo. And we also got the small matter of the main event, which I may discuss later on. We saw the in-ring debut of LA Knight on NXT, and we also got the returns of Jordan Devlin and the Ring General Volta. And it looks like we're going to get a Tommaso Ciampa versus Volta match at NXT Stand and Deliver. Holy sh! And on SmackDown, praise the Lord, we didn't get any Reginald. Yes! But without further ado, for my 5th match of the week, a 2nd round New Japan Cup match between Will Ospreay and SANADA. And the story of the match kicks off with Will attacking the back of SANADA by hitting a nasty looking back suplex onto the guardrail. And I thought SANADA did a fine job of selling as Ospreay worked the heat and displayed a lot of arrogance. Another story then begins as Ospreay's heel work brings out that aggressive side of SANADA that we saw in his match last week against Tomohiro Ishii. And SANADA began attacking the injured nose of Will Ospreay from his match with Zack Sabre Jr. And in a cracking show of psychology from SANADA, he puts Will into the Paradise Lock, but before he hits the dropkick, he leans him up against the turnbuckle pad, face first, in order to maximise the damage to the injured nose. The match then kicks into a higher gear as we see both men execute their more impactful manoeuvres. There was loads of great reversals, and then we see a great submission tease as SANADA puts in the skull end on Will Ospreay for quite a long time. And the match had a strong finish as Will Ospreay hits SANADA with a great looking poison rana, followed up by an Oz cutter, but SANADA kicks out at 2. However, this only delays the inevitable as Will Ospreay hits a hidden blade onto the back of SANADA's head and then follows up with a Stormbreaker for the 1, 2, 3. Will Ospreay moves to the semi-finals. And coming in at number 4, another hard-hitting matchup between Hirooki Goto and Shingo Takagi in another 2nd round New Japan Cup matchup. And the match begins at a blistering pace as we see a plethora of stiff strikes from both men, followed up by Shingo going for the last of the dragon, only for Goto to counter into a roll-up for a super close 2 count, and Shingo's facial expression here was priceless. The story of the match revolved around Goto attacking the neck of Shingo to set up the GTR, whilst also slowing the pace of the match down in order to prevent Shingo from gaining any momentum, because, as we all know, when Shingo gets the ball rolling, he's quite hard to stop. The structure of the match allowed both men to sell after some of the big sequences, and I thought Shingo did a great job throughout the match of selling his neck as well, and both men showed fantastic resilience as they just threw everything at each other. We saw Ushigoroshis, Noshigamis, GTWs, Made in Japans, Pumping Bombers, reverse GTRs. We even saw Shingo hit his own GTR, but nothing worked until we saw a great finish where Shingo hit the mother of all pumping bombers. But Goto kicks out in what was a great near fall. However, Shingo hits Goto with the last of the dragon to pick up the W. But next up at number 3, Rich Swann vs Moose from Impact Sacrifice pay-per-view in a unification match for the TNA and Impact heavyweight titles. And obviously there were some massive stakes in this match, which only added to the drama. The match told a classic story of speed versus strength, and Swann did a great job of playing the sympathetic underdog against the much larger opponent in Moose. Swann's facial expressions were a particular highlight in this match, as he sold the pain from Moose's offense really well, and this culminated in an awesome moment where Moose wraps Swann's hair around the guardrail and yanks on it as hard as he can, to the point where Swann is just screaming in agony. It was an awesome visual, and we saw a couple of breathtaking spots as Moose runs up to the top turnbuckle to hit a dive, while Swann executes a handspring cutter, catching Moose in mid-air. Wow. And a second spot saw Moose hit an avalanche fall-away slam, which transitioned mid-air into a moonsault. Double wow. We then got a decent finish with Moose running shoulder first into a chair he'd set up in between the turnbuckle pads earlier on in the match, which allowed Swann to hit a crucifix bomb followed up by a jackknife cover to pick up the victory, which means that Rich Swann is the unified champion. And although Moose lost here, in my opinion he is definitely the future of Impact, and there's no doubt in my mind that he'll be back in that title picture in the next few months. But coming in at number 2, we've got another second round New Japan Cup match between Will Ospreay and Zack Sabre Jr. And like the Shingo and Goto match from earlier, these boys just go absolutely balls to the wall to begin with, as Ospreay hit Zack with some aerial offence, which led into an Ozcutter attempt, only for Zack to counter into a European clutch for a really close 2 count. The match then told an interesting story where Zack struggled to gain any momentum in this match, perhaps underestimating Ospreay due to the fact that he's quite a different animal to the last time that Zack faced him. And the psychology in this match was on point, with both men selling each other's offense really well, with the aid of some stellar facial expressions. And Zack constantly attacked the previously injured right shoulder of Ospreay, who sold it really well, even after throwing punches and forearms with that injured right arm. We then got some awesome submission teasers executed by Zack, surprise surprise, and this all led into an excellent finish where Ospreay goes for the super Ozcutter, only for Zack to counter into a sleeper hold. He then goes for a Zack driver, only for Will to counter again into a rolling back elbow. He then hits the Stormbreaker for the 1-2-3. And for my match of the week, an unbelievable lights out match between Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa from AEW Dynamite. This was a fantastic grudge match between two women who threw absolutely everything at one another and made the most out of the match stipulation. And the match told a second story of Thunder Rosa having to overcome the constant interference from Rebel, I don't know, who helped Britt a lot in this match. And I loved how the violence always escalated further and further to points you never really expected it to. We saw both women bleed, which added a lot of drama to the match, as it's something we don't really see very often with the women. We saw Britt hit Rosa with a superplex onto a pile of chairs. Rosa nailed Britt with a DVD onto a ladder. And there was another fantastic moment as Britt does what Britt does and maniacally smiles at the camera, just covered in blood. Badass. Then Britt brings thumbtacks into the match and then gets powerbombed onto them by Thunder Rosa. And this all led into an excellent finish where Rosa countered the lockjaw by rolling Britt back onto the thumbtacks. Britt then counters Rosa, hits a massive super kick, both women roll to the ring apron, and Thunder Rosa hits an amazing Fire Thunder driver through a table which was set up on the outside of the ring. And Thunder Rosa is your winner. The selling and registering was extremely impressive, and this match was just truly groundbreaking stuff and sets a whole new standard for women's wrestling. And that's my list. So, what were your favourite matches of the week? If you agree with me or disagree with me, please let me know in the comment section down below. And next week we've got the return of the NWA with their special event tonight, Back for the Attack. We've then got the return of NWA Power on Tuesday night. We've got WWE Fastlane tonight as well. And we'll also see the conclusion to the New Japan Cup, which should be awesome. If you enjoyed this video guys, please leave a like, hit the notification bell and subscribe. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you all next week. Bye bye.